You ever get the feeling sometimes that the work you do is less than perfect and not good enough, and it discourages you and makes you want to give up? Well, that's the subject of today's Talk About It Tuesday. Stick around, we're going to get into it. I'm Mike, you're watching My Car Shop. I know that the work that I do comes under a lot more criticism than the work other people do because I put it all out there on YouTube, and there's always some flaming ashtray coming through telling me how I'm doing it wrong. But I don't want to talk about that voice too much. I'm going to talk about it a little bit. But what I really want to talk about is that inner voice in you where you feel the work that you do isn't good enough and it doesn't measure up because you know what your expectations are and you see what you're turning out. And no matter how hard you try, you just can't seem to get there. Remember the three words that matter most here. Is it safe? Is it done? And are you having fun? Remember, context is everything. It's not just the text messages you get from your friends that are cons in prison. Oh, I know I'm beating a dead horse again, but it's my horse and I'll beat it if I want to. Every project that I do on YouTube has a context, and very few, if any of them, are a context of perfection. It's about getting her done. I mean, we're doing 13 projects, and as long as it's safe and as long as it's done and as long as I'm having fun, I don't care. I get flamed constantly for the way I hung the quarter panel on the Stitches Challenger. I don't care. In the context of that car, it's just fine. I'm not going to spend the time to perfect metal finish when a small little layer of Bondo is going to take care of it. I'm not hiding anything. I'm just not willing to spend the time because the car isn't worth the time. You know that going down the road at 60 miles an hour, nobody's going to be able to tell the difference between a full AMD quarter panel that was put into the roof the way it should be, or if I had done a perfect butt weld on that Sherman part so that you couldn't see the weld seam. Could I do that work? Yeah. Do I care? Nope, I don't, because the context of Stitches is a slam bam, get her done, get her out there and have fun. I'm not saying do crappy work. I'm not saying that. I'm saying consider the amount of time in the context of the project. That's what matters. If that was a Hemi car, all original, numbers matching, I wouldn't have even bought a Sherman part. I would have put a full AMD quarter on it, and we would be slowing down and taking a lot more time. But that's a deep six-figure car, and what I'm building is a mid to low five-figure car. Why would I put six-figure work into a five-figure car? It's just a matter of character and your integrity and always doing things with excellence. Yes, excellence, not perfection. Get off your soapbox. This isn't about perfect. It's about getting it done. I've worked in body shops and I've worked in restoration shops, and a lot of what I turn out is just body shop level work. It's a different world. I know what restoration shop stuff is because I've worked there too. Again, it's the context of your project. What's your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? That's what matters. And I think, coming from the 80s, 90s, 2000s TV show world, and now in the YouTube world where your welds have to be perfect little coins, and you have to do a butt weld where there's not one little pit anywhere in the metal, blah, 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 blah. I don't like that. I don't do that because every time that you fill in every one of those little pits, you have to go back and grind, and you're thinning the metal down. I would rather have a couple little pits in the metal and not go back and weld and grind and have it not be perfect so that the material is strong, rather than potentially thinning it down so much that I could have a potential problem in the future. I've actually had that happen. I remember when I was working in a restoration shop, I did a perfect finish fit on a front fender on a Mercedes convertible that we were doing, and the metal finish was absolutely flawless. But you know what? I had gone through and filled in every little pit on that thing and ground it back down. I had to do it 3 times. Yeah, guess what happened? Before the painter was even done, right after, the car was painted, the painter painted it, and like a week later, the Bondo, there was just a thin layer of mud over it to just get the metal perfect, and it cracked. And I had to cut the front of that fender off and redo the whole thing again, because I ground it too much and the metal was flexing, and that little paper thin layer, because we skim coated and sanded it all down just to take out those minor imperfections, it had a little thin spot and it cracked. Lesson learned. That was 25 years ago, probably. I've been a lot smarter since then, and I recognize that I'd rather have a few little imperfections in the metal than grind the metal down too thin and have problems down the road. Some people have the attitude, well, everything has to be butt welded. No, it doesn't. Everything should be done perfectly. No, it doesn't. I don't do a lot of butt welding, especially on unibody cars, because I don't feel it is as strong as a good lap weld with plug welds. Overlaps with plug welds and welding on both sides, as long as you keep your heat down and you get it done right, it is super, super strong. Does it take longer than cut and butt or even just butt welding? No, it doesn't. Again, in the context of the vehicle, in a full frame car, I might take more time, but in a unibody car, I don't, because that body is part of your structural integrity for the vehicle. I'm more concerned about strength than I am beauty at that point. I was doing some suspension work recently, and somebody called, they didn't work critical, but they called into question the quality of the welding. And I thought to myself, and I wasn't being a smart ass, I just thought to myself, well, I definitely am going to turn out stuff that I think is going to break. That's going to be a safety problem down the road. I know on a camera you can't always tell what things are like, but yeah, sometimes the welds aren't great. In that case, I was having problems with my welder. I could have gone back. I could have ground things down. I could have made another pass. Would it have changed the structural integrity? Nope. All it would have done was look better for YouTube, and I wouldn't be being honest. That would be disingenuine? I don't know. It wouldn't be being real. And that's what I'm concerned about here is I don't mind turning something out that doesn't look perfect, because I want you to see the real world of where a lot of people live, and I don't want you to be discouraged by the YouTube perfectionists that show you these absolutely perfect welds. I'm not a welder, and I don't play one on YouTube. Again, I'm not making excuses for just crap work. I'm saying if it's done, if it's safe, and you're having fun, that's what matters. If it doesn't look perfect, that doesn't mean it's not safe. Again, it's just mind-blowing to me how the keyboard warriors have created this standard of perfection that they hold everybody to. There's a channel who he's blocked now, so he won't see this, and if he does, I don't care. The guy's an asshat. But he would come into my channel and just criticize everything that I did. And initially I was like, okay, he just doesn't understand. It wasn't long before I realized, no, he's just a flaming ashtray. And you know the funny part of it is, he doesn't do anything himself. He has no idea. All he knows is he has this level in his mind, and he pays other people to do all his crap in his shop. The guy's never turned a welder on. He's hardly ever run a grinder. He doesn't have a clue. All he knows is what it's supposed to look like based upon something he saw or read. We don't need that. I mean, any guy or gal who really puts their hands on stuff understands real-world context. And they're not going to criticize somebody else's work. They may ask a question. They may say, are you sure that's okay? I was concerned when I saw that. Fair enough. Fair dinkum. I love that. Yeah, that's what we need. But we don't need somebody coming in and saying, you're doing it wrong. Here's my point. If not to defend what I do on my YouTube channel or in my shop, I couldn't care less about that. But I want to encourage you to evaluate what you're doing and be careful about not going back and redoing things because it doesn't look exactly perfect. If it's safe, if it's done, and you're having fun, move on. There's always another one coming. I mean, there's always something else to work on. And the point is to continue to develop your skills and get your skill bank, so that each project you do, each part of your project that you do, you're learning something, and you're developing more skill. A long time ago in a different context, the guy said, let each thing stand on its own and apply what you learned to the next thing. And I think that is some of the best advice in the world. So I'm going to say that to you. Let each thing you do stand on its own. If it's safe, if it's done, and you're having fun, and you could have done things different or you could have done things better, then apply that to the next thing you do. Don't keep going back and redoing, or worse, stop doing it at all because you're not doing it perfectly and you've discouraged yourself to the point that you just want to give up. All right, I'll shut up. You get up off the chair, get out there in the shop and get after it. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, because it's important. Rock!